Hi there, thanks for coming to my Patreon page. My name is Kerry Rayburn. I'm a writer, filmmaker from Birmingham, Alabama. I want to give you a little bit of information about my current project. I'm doing a non-fiction book. It's called Don't Ask Me to Say Thank You Very Much. It's an Elvis Week book, and the title, I'll tell you where the title comes from. Everybody who's kind of a casual Elvis fan or not an Elvis fan but knows who Elvis is, when they run into somebody who's a big fan or a performer, they say thank you very much. And it drives people crazy. It really does. When I went to the DMV a couple of years ago, they wouldn't give me my ID until I said thank you very much. It was really aggravating. But I did it. I got my ID. Life went on. So I thought that would be a cool title for my book. So here's a little bit about what I'm going to cover in my book. I'm going to give you a little bit of history about Elvis' home, Graceland, about Sun Studio, where Elvis got his first big break, where he recorded That's Alright, and it's where he met Sam Phillips, and where he started working with Scotty Moore and Bill Black. I'm going to give you a little bit of information about Elvis Week, the history of it. I talked to some people who were there in 1978. They're going to share some photos so you can see what Elvis Week looked like back when there was 10, 15 people there, and then you'll get to see what it looked like last year in 2016 when there were thousands of people there. Got a chapter on the Graceland Crossing and the Graceland Plaza, which are two shopping centers that are across the street from Graceland, and they've been operating as long as I've been going. I started going in 1999, and I have not missed a year yet, and I hope to never miss a year. I'll be 150 years old, rolling around in a wheelchair going, "You just a hunk of burning love." Anyway, I got a little bit of a short chapter on the Heartbreak Hotel and the guest house at Graceland. Heartbreak Hotel was originally Wilson World. It's where most of the Elvis fans would stay when they came to visit Graceland. It closed down in October, and the next day they opened the guest house at Graceland, which is a massive $90 million hotel in the middle of the slums. Yeah, it really fits in well. Anyway, then I talk about the new Elvis Presley's Memphis complex, which is I don't know how expensive it was, maybe $50 million complex. It's supposed to house all of the museums, gift shops, restaurants. It's supposed to take place of the plaza and the crossing. So I talk about that, and I talk about how some of the fans are a little upset about all the changes that have been made. So you get to hear about that. I talk about 3 films I've worked on that were Elvis related. One of them was a mockumentary called Elton Presley ETA at Large. It was from, I think, 2009. A documentary called Walk a Mile, which is about Danny Frazier, who was born with fetal alcohol syndrome. He had his legs amputated, but rather than be spending the rest of his life in a wheelchair, he taught himself how to walk on his hands, and now he's a working Elvis tribute artist. Then I talk about my feature film, 8/16, which deals with the day Elvis Presley died and the effect that it had on his fans. There's a lot of stuff you get to hear that you don't hear other places. For instance, a car plowed through the crowd, hitting 3 girls and killing 2 of them. It was driven by a drunk driver. I interviewed the one girl who survived. There's a chapter on the Candlelight Vigil, which is held August 15th each year, and they close down Elvis Presley Boulevard, and thousands of fans gather in the street. Some of them hold candles, and they walk up the driveway to Elvis's grave, so you'll get to hear about that. There's a chapter where I talk about the differences between Elvis tribute artist and Elvis impersonator. Now, people who are casual Elvis fans, they refer to anybody who sings an Elvis song as an Elvis impersonator, but believe it or not, there are differences, and I'm going to educate you on them. I talk about Walking on the Boulevard, which is my show. I started in 2003. Basically, I chronicle Elvis Week, different Elvis events, and I've since started interviewing non-Elvis people, other celebrities who have nothing to do with Elvis, just because I like the name and it's good to have a name when you're trying to interview somebody. So I talk about my show. I talk about Meditation Gardens, which is where Elvis, his father, his mother, his grandmother are all laid to rest, as well as there's a marker for his brother Jesse Garrett. There's a chapter called Elvis Famous, which deals with people who some of who are famous on their own, but most of them are famous because they knew or worked with Elvis. There's a chapter called Elvis Family, which I talk about all of the people, or most of the people that I've met over the last almost 2 decades. People, some of whom have become like family to me. I spend time with them throughout the year, not just Elvis Week. Some of them I go to their house for Christmas every year. I just spent half of last year staying with a family, with some friends of mine from Mississippi that I met at Elvis Week. Talk about Elvis the concerts, which the 20th anniversary, the 25th, and the 30th, I believe those were the 3 years, they reunited Elvis's band along with the members of the Stamps, the Sweet Inspirations, and they had a giant screen with Elvis on it. And so the band would play along to Elvis singing. It was really, really cool. I attended 2 of those, so I talk about those. There's a chapter called Gates of Graceland. Now, I didn't want this whole book to be just from my perspective. I wanted to involve other fans, so I'm inviting fans to submit, along with permission form, their picture in front of the gates of Graceland. So you have an opportunity to have your picture in a book. There's also a chapter called Fan Memories, where it's not my memories, but I get Elvis fans who submit their favorite Elvis Week memory, and I pick the best ones and I put them in the book. Also need permission. There's a chapter called Elvis Week Photos, which is basically just for leftover photos. Photos I thought were good enough to be in the book, but they didn't fit into any of the other chapters. I didn't want to get rid of them, so I just gave them their own chapter. There's a chapter on music videos, because I've done 4 music videos so far. 3 of them were official music videos. One of them was called My Sweet Annabelle from my friend Scott Michael McDonald. It was not an official video. It was a song he wrote for his wife, and I took clips from Elvis Week and their wedding, and I cut it together for them as a wedding present. His wife still hasn't seen it, and she's going to eventually. I did one music video for Franz Govarts called Walking in Memphis. It was a cover of the Mark Cohen song. We shot it in Memphis. I shot a music video called Still 19 for UK singer Colin Paul. It was also shot right across the street from Graceland. And I did one in 2014 for Nashville singer Demi Downing. It was a song called She Looks a Lot Like Me, which Demi wrote herself. We did that one at the Clarion across from Graceland, and we also shot in Sun Studio. Then there's also a chapter on the Daisy and Pool Party, which is an event that Colin Paul puts on the 13th of August each year. Hundreds of fans come to this. They gather around the pool. There's really nowhere to sit because the seats fill up really quick. It becomes standing room only. But there's like 4 hours of music. The hotel provides food, water, sodas, beer. It's really, really cool time. And lastly, I talk about my journey to Elvis, how I became an Elvis fan, what I think about all this, what my first trip to Elvis Week or to Memphis was like when I was a wee little one. You get to see some pictures from that too. So it's been a really, really cool journey for me. I am not just somebody from the outside who's like, I'm going to try and write something people are going to want to read. No, I'm writing something that means something to me. I'm a huge Elvis fan, as you can tell by my shirt, my hat, my bracelets. If you walked into my house, you'd see tons of Elvis stuff. Anyway, I hope you will help with my campaign, help me make this book a reality. And even if you decide not to become a Patreon, and if you hate this video, at least check out Elvis. He's got a lot of really great music. It's not just what you hear on the radio. It's not just Hound Dog and Love Me Tender and Teddy Bear. No offense to the people who love those songs, but there's a lot of other really great songs like Long Black Limousine, Just Pretend, Only the Strong Survive. There's tons and tons of great Elvis songs. So hopefully you'll like my book and you'll want to participate in my campaign and become a patron. But even if you don't, at least check out Elvis Presley. Thank you for your time. Again, I'm Kerry Rayburn, and my book is called Don't Ask Me to Say Thank You. Thank you very much. Thanks.